Twitter or X, and I will be calling it Twitter for the majority of all of this video, because let's be honest, even though it has changed to X, like what was it? I think about a year ago now. It's been like a bit over a year since it has officially been changed to X, but I will still call it Twitter. I will call it Twitter when I type it in my browser, I still type in twitter.com and then it reroutes me to X. But Twitter has now been officially banned on Brazil. That is right. In the country of Brazil, it is no longer accessible. It is no longer available for you to go onto the website of Twitter. Now, I'm not 100% sure of like what happens. I haven't seen any screenshots yet of anyone from Brazil, like, or any photos that have started to make it its way around the internet. But I'm guessing that, like, you know, if you go to search in x.com or twitter.com into the browser, if you do live in Brazil, or even if like you're using a VPN, which I would use it, but I don't have a VPN, and go ahead and, like, you know, show you what happens if I'm, like, you know, VPN'd in Brazil and like try to go on the website. But I'm guessing it would come up with like this website has been blocked in your region. It's unavailable to use in your region. But yes, it has now been officially blocked in the country of Brazil. And even though that this just came out on like Twitter today, stating about whole this situation, that it's just officially today, the Supreme Courts of Brazil have ordered the immediate suspension of Twitter or X. It has actually been going on for a long time. Like, this whole entire dispute between Twitter and Brazil has been going on for a few months now. Like, I think this really all started back in April. So a Supreme Court judge by the name of Alexandre de Moraes, he's like a big Supreme Court judge in Brazil. He ordered the suspension of like dozens of accounts for allegedly spreading misinformation. And Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter or X, he himself was like, we're not going to allow that, because Elon Musk himself saw that as like censorship, seeing that, like, you know, even that these so-called, you know, misinformation wasn't necessarily misinformation, and it was just more or less the, you know, Brazilian Supreme Courts, and also, you know, the Brazilian government in general was just trying to like hush a few things that some people were trying to say on X. And you know what? As much as like we can all kind of hate Elon Musk, and at some times, especially with like like really, if you think about it, Twitter or X has been on decline for a little bit, and a lot of people don't like the way it is. I mean, me, I don't really care too much, but I could see why a lot of other people would say like, oh man, ever since Elon Musk got Twitter, it's been a lot worse. But to a certain extent, there's some points of it that have been better. And that is like the whole entire, like, when it comes to censorship. Because I would definitely say that before like Elon Musk acquired Twitter, that like censorship was a big thing on the website. Like, you know, you would get censored for a lot of things, for saying certain things. And that's just like the internet in general. But it seems that very recently, like especially in the last like year or 2 years, censorship has like started to, you know, ease off. And people are just kind of allowed to say whatever the hell they want. Which, you know what? Some people, they should be censored. But at the same time, it's just like, you either should have to like be heavy on censorship or not allow it at all. Like, you know, just get rid of censorship at all, altogether. Unless it's like, you know, something legitimately illegal, then I definitely think it's fair enough. But it's someone just saying something stupid, like, just let them be. I definitely feel like that's absolutely fine. I feel like Twitter's gone in the right direction. But obviously, some countries haven't been liking that. And one of them happens to be Brazil. And this has been going on, like I said, it's been a bit of a dispute for like the last few months now. But it like really took off a few days ago when Twitter has actually been without a legal representative in Brazil. Pretty much like what the legal representative does. It literally, like, the title speaks for itself. Where like anything within the country of Brazil that's got to do with Twitter legally, they are legally allowed to represent the country. They're basically almost like a spokesperson for the company, you know, because obviously Elon Musk himself, he can't go over to every single country whenever they have some kind of legal dispute when it comes to Twitter. Whenever anything that's got to do with Twitter, you know, they have to have someone within that country to, you know, represent them legally. And Brazil has actually been without any type of legal representative of Twitter since the 17th of August, because Musk himself announced that, like, the company was shutting down its operations within the country immediately anyways, because of this whole entire censorship orders, like, from the Supreme Judge. So as a matter of fact, even though that all this stuff is going down and like Twitter is being, like, you know, suspended within the country, it's not like Elon Musk and the company of Twitter actually cares themselves, because they themselves are actually like shutting down operations within the country anyways, and they honestly don't really care about all this stuff that's going on. Like, all Elon Musk really seems to care about is the fact that Brazil was just trying to censor a lot of these supposed accounts that were on X or Twitter for, like, you know, these whole entire, you know, spreading misinformation. But we obviously don't really know if it really is misinformation or not. Like, that's all it really is. And apparently it was for, like, spreading some, like, information about, like, his political opponents or something like that. So obviously, which doesn't surprise me at all. Like, whenever it comes to, like, you know, a country wanting to censor certain things on a social media website, a majority of the times it's always political. It's always got to do with something like that's got to do with politicians. Like, you know, this Supreme Court guy, this judge himself. Obviously, there was maybe like some information that was being spread about him that he didn't like, or maybe it was misinformation. We don't really 100% know about all that kind of stuff. And he obviously didn't like it, so he tried to order the fact that, like, hey, get this, see this, Elon, shut this down. And Elon's just like, no, I ain't shutting down nothing. But obviously, when it comes to all this, there's ways around stuff like this. I mean, if you yourself have been in another country or been like here in Australia, like, we don't really have, you know, websites that are necessarily illegal, but it's more or less websites that haven't become available in Australia yet because, you know, their services haven't been spread over to Australia. Or even if like here, say you have Netflix, say there's not a show that you want to watch but it's not on Australian Netflix, and you have to VPN to another country. Say you want to watch some, like, I don't know, Korean drama show, but it's not on Australian Netflix. You have to VPN it to the Korean Netflix, and you can do that. You can grab a VPN. You can go onto websites that aren't even available in your country. I mean, you could, like, VPN to China and start using some of their websites if you really wanted to. I mean, people have done that in the past, with not just websites, but also video games as well. There was like this Call of Duty that was only available in China, and people would VPN to go and play it, but obviously it got shut down because way too many foreigners were playing it. But Brazil is thought ahead of all this, and they are actually handing out fines for anyone who is going ahead to try and VPN access Twitter. That's right. They are going to fine you $8,874 a day that you are using Twitter or X, which itself, that is insane. That is a lot of money a day just to be using a website. Like, damn, how bad is this so-called misinformation that Brazil, like the Supreme Court, the guy himself that initially wanted all of, like, you know, Twitter to, like, you know, start censoring these accounts himself, like, is now issuing that if you go ahead and use Twitter, use a VPN in Brazil to access Twitter, you yourself will be fined $8,874 a day that you are using it. That is absolutely insane. And obviously you yourself are probably wondering, Donnie, they can't do this. Yes, they can. The government can do whatever they want. Like, I think that, like, we ourselves, we're very privileged for the fact that we live in, you know, free countries, and we live in, like, you know, first world countries where it's absolutely great. We have a lot of freedom to do what we want. Even if the government says you can't do this, we still go, well, I can do whatever I want. Obviously, you can't do illegal things. And this is, like, part of the law. They have now put this as the law, pretty much. This is the law now. Like, you will get fined for using Twitter or X via a VPN within the country. And you're obviously wondering that, one, yes, they can do this. They 100% can do this. The government can really do, if you really think about it, take your brain out, give it a massage, put it back in, screw it in properly, and think realistically. Yes, the government can do this. Of course they can. If your country wanted to do this, they 100% could. They 100% could do this. But you're probably also wondering, Donnie, how do they monitor this? Especially if you're using a VPN. Well, a VPN doesn't necessarily mean that you are fucking off the grid. Just because you're using a VPN does not mean that the government can't see what you're doing. All right? That's not how a VPN works. No. Your VPN still sends data to your internet service provider. It still does. Like, that's how you're still accessing the internet. when you access the internet, that data is being sent to your internet service provider. And the government, like these companies, have to legally oblige with the government. So if the government says to these companies that if you see anyone using these websites, you have to report it to us immediately. They have to. They legally have to do that. Like, that's just how it is, especially in countries that, you know, I don't know how Brazil is. I don't really see Brazil as like I mean, some parts of their country is definitely third world. I mean, you go to the favelas and that shit is definitely third world. But I'm not really sure, like, when it comes to, you know, how strict Brazil's government is, or like how corrupt it really is. I mean, I definitely don't see them as like, you know, a first world country like, you know, Australia or America, a lot of countries in Europe, or even somewhere like Japan or Korea, you know. But, you know, South America, they, you know, a lot of their governments are relatively corrupt. But I'm not really sure about Brazil. Like, I mean, I'm saying that, and then as I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, yeah, they kind of are, actually. If I really think about it, they definitely are. But yeah, the government can definitely do this. Like, yeah, it's not right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that because they can do this, that they should do this. There's a lot of things that you can do, but just because you can do it doesn't mean it's good. That's not what I'm saying. No point in this video am I going like, yeah, Brazil could do this, so I mean, it must mean it's right. No, just because they can do this doesn't mean it's a good thing. Like, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But I would definitely like to hear what you guys think about all of this down below. That's going to be it from me. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Peace out.